Hello everyone, and welcome to my fishing guide. In this video, you'll learn how to aim when you fish, how to get and refine your gear, and most importantly, how to win fishing competitions. In this video, we'll only cover the basics of what you need to do to fish effectively. But before we get into all that, what you need to understand is that fishing requires a lot of patience and a ton of luck. So there are 5 regionals that you can do every 3 hours to acquire regional tokens. You have one in Buran, one in Padana, one in Spirios, one in Kozakor, and one more in the Timeless Jungle. So when you start doing fishing, you should always keep an eye out on the regionals. That way you can get as many regional tokens as you can, because you're gonna want a lot of them later on to refine your gear. We'll go more into that later on, because before that we need to master the fishing hotspots. During the duration of this video, I'll put up stickers to show where I'm aiming at, and that should give you an idea of how to do it properly. One thing that you want to keep in mind is you won't ever get the hotspots every time. So don't be too harsh on yourself if you miss a few. Hitting the hotspot only means that the rarity of the fish is increased. So that means that you don't necessarily have to hit the hotspot to catch a very big rare fish. I've caught about 100 centimeter fish without hitting a hotspot. There are 2 things that you always need to look at: the wind indicator and the position of your rod. So always aim depending on how the wind pushes your bait. If the wind pushes upwards, simply aim downwards. If the wind is blowing sideways, simply aim more to the opposite side of where the wind is coming from. Remember though, everybody needs to start off somewhere, so don't be too hard on yourself if you don't get it right the first time. Fishing is all about practice. You'll find that doing fishing more often will help you figure out how far you can reach, how much power you need to use, and where the hotspots are in relation to your position. As I mentioned earlier, hitting a hotspot is not necessary to catch big fish. As a matter of fact, from my own experience, I've found that the farther away you cast, the bigger the fish are in general. So if your aim is to catch a fish for the competition, if most of the hotspots are not very close to you and you know you can't reach them, you might just as well cast the farthest you can, just in the off chance that you can catch a bigger fish. You'll be surprised by how often that works out. So let's move along. By now you should have mastered the art of getting your bait into the hotspot. So let's see what we can use them on. You'll find these LiQWYD fishing merchants all across the world. They are generally located near fishing areas, and you can buy your starting fishing gear for gold, and later on you can purchase advanced fishing gear with 50 regional tokens each. Down here you'll see all the refining stones, and you'll notice that the purple ones require World Fishing Competition tokens. That means you get them from the weekly fishing competition. My suggestion is to only buy the line with the 50 regional tokens and keep the rod and the reel to what you initially bought with gold, and simply refine those original ones. So just like normal gear, you can refine them at a normal enhancer, and despite what most people believe, you can still use Embers of Pation to increase your chances. You should always prioritize refining your line, because you won't be able to catch any large fish if your line snaps. At the same time, refining your rod and your reel will help you catch bigger fish. As you can see here, you will definitely need to use Pations to increase your success rate, otherwise you'll lose a lot of World Trophy tokens. Remember that you can use fail stacking on top of the embers, so don't hesitate to use your fail stacks to get your fishing gear refined. Once you refine your gear up to Epic +3 or 4, you'll be ready to catch big fish. The thing about weekly competitions is that you don't really need that great gear in order to win them. All you need is one fish. So in theory, all you have to do is show up, catch a fish that's bigger than everybody else's, and that's it, you've won that week. Now we all know that's not very likely to happen. So what we have left is to keep fishing until you catch one that's bigger than everybody else's before the timer runs out. Now the fishing competition always ends on Monday at 11 in the evening, and there are two fish that always change every week. There will always be a small uncommon and a small rare fish. If you look closely, you'll notice that the small rare fish's rewards are much better than the uncommon one. So you should always aim to catch the bigger rare fish rather than the bigger uncommon fish. This week we have the striped barracks, which is an uncommon fish in Spirios, and a golden damselfish, which is a rare small fish in the lakes. There are two types of rewards for each fish. You get a chest depending on how big the fish you've caught this week is, and another one depending on how well you've done in the competition. You have to be aware that generally the people that fish in this competition are veteran players trying to get their materials for their ancient weapons. The red energy fragment or the magic shards are generally acquired through PvP content. So in other words, you don't have to do PvP in order to get your ancient weapon. It also means that you can gain quite a lot of seeds simply by fishing and selling some of the materials to people that are trying to get their ancient weapons. So in conclusion, doing fishing is very relaxing. It's great for when you want to take a little break, or just something that you can do when you're waiting for a queue to pop, or if you're playing late at night and there's barely anyone around to do dungeons with. Plus, like I mentioned before, it can be very profitable or an alternate way to get your ancient weapon if you're not into the PvP content. This little part shows how you can turn off and on the vibrations on your controller. For me personally, I find it more relaxing to have the vibrations off. And more importantly, it doesn't drain my controller's batteries as quickly. Plus, if you fish for 2-3 hours straight and your vibrations are on, your hands are gonna feel numb afterwards. And with that, we conclude our video for today. Make sure to drop a like if you've enjoyed the video, and I hope this will help you towards getting more star seeds or towards getting your ancient weapon quicker. If there's anything that you want me to cover in my next video, or if you have any questions about how hotspots work, or anything fishing related, simply comment down below and I'll try to get back to you as effectively as I can. Thank you all for watching and take care.